Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Randy Burt. I'm sitting in for Dak today, and this year, I have no idea where Dak is. Usually he lets me know where he's off to. I think he's out on the 7 Seas sailing, but I really don't know. Welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. I have a really interesting show today. It's going to be fun too, because the subject, if you haven't been there, which I'm pretty sure most people in Chautauqua County have, it's just fun. So we're going to do some quick announcements, and then we'll get into the show. The annual chicken wing cook-off today, Saturday, March 5th, noon to 5 at Pekin Peak. It's going to benefit the rural center of Chautauqua County. Awards will be handed out at 6 p.m. We have a sign for it. And now we're going into one of our really interesting groups, Infinity Performing Arts, for the second annual Local Artist Showcase. Local Artist Showcase will be held at the Infinity Arts Cafe March 12th from 12 to 5 p.m. and features the work of over 20 visual artists, fun activities for the entire family, and an art auction featuring autographed items by members of the Beach Boys, Bella Flack and Abigail Washburn, Blake Sheldon, and more. Also at the Infinity Performing Arts has a number of creative classes and workshop opportunities beginning in March. Classes include art of painting, creative movement, theater exploration, Infinity Glee music theory for beginners, Infinity film crew, hip-hop dance, advanced music theory, and much more. For more information about the classes or pricing, go to Infinity at 716-664-0991 or stop in at the Infinity Center at 301 East 2nd Street in Jamestown. Infinity Performing Arts will be holding a spring break camp for students age 8 to 16. Music and Arts Institute will be held from Monday, March 21st to Thursday, March 24th. Camp is held from 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. each day. Before and after care are available at an additional cost. The camp schedule includes day 1, upcycled art, day 2, one I want to go to, lights, camera, action, day 3, instrumental exploration, and day 4, break a leg. Register at the camp at infinityperformingarts.org. If you're interested in learning more about Infinity or signing up for the lessons, a new student orientation will be held March 17th, 5:45 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. at the Infinity Center. Infinity will be hosting a karaoke night at the Infinity Arts Cafe March 18th at 7 p.m. This event is free and open to the public. All are encouraged to attend. And that's my brief announcements for today. We're going to go, Jeff, if you have it ready, we're going to go to a PSA, and then we're going to get right into the show.
This new mom is struggling to get the skates just right. And now she's holding on for dear life. Her kids can see she may have broke her knees. They still love her though she looks like she's attacked by killer bees. I'm allergic. Proof you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
And we're back and ready for the fantastic show. I do want to welcome everybody to the public access stations. Uh-oh, we got a guy up there waving at us. I'm not sure if he's on the phone, but that is our regular host, Doc Hamels.
Oh, is it?
And he is somewhere out there, and my guests are thinking he's Dennis Drew. So I'm going to start the show off with a photograph or two there. Jeff, if you have the first photo, we're going to talk about our subject today. There we go. From this, taken several years ago, is getting ready for New York State to open up the Midway State Park. And this is some of the dignitaries trying to pull the cover down, which I remember
Kathleen.
Senator Young could not get her cover to come down. They were having a hard time. I think she climbed up on the sign, and she just finally got it to pull with a little help.
Yeah.
And just some of the dignitaries in the third photo.
Like Greg Edwards.
There we go. This was a group shot. I noticed a lot of the people I knew. I think the original owners of Midway are in there.
Greg Edwards is over there.
Greg Edwards was county executive.
Mike and Janice Walsh.
Mike and Janice, they were great people.
Yeah.
So this was our subject today is Midway State Park. And now I would like to introduce my guest sitting next to me, Kathleen McCarthy. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
Kathleen.
Good morning, Randy.
And Peter Sullivan.
Good morning.
Kathleen, what got you into the Friends of Midway, and how did it start?
Well, the Friends of Midway actually began in 2010. The state took over the park in 2007, and soon thereafter, it sort of became an interest of my husband's and mine, and we met with Andy, the first manager of the park, and we talked about wanting to support the park in some way, being, neighbors of the park in Maple Springs. And he sort of described what could be needed was that they saw themselves as the cake, and the cake actually needed a lot of work itself. And then we would be seen as the frosting on the cake, where they had to work on infrastructure because a lot of things needed to be brought up to code. And then there were a lot of things that would be wonderful if we could sort of have our dream and restore some things. So that's what happened. So it all began in 2010.
Okay. And I'm going to introduce Peter. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. Randall, how you doing?
Chautauqua County?
I actually used to live in Mayville. It's my first time back in this building since 1960 when I was in ninth grade up here. My dad ran the bank in Mayville, so it's a nice return to my roots back in the early 60s. Good to be back in this building. And Bob with Midway, we can get into that if you're ready, or we can wait for that.
Well, before we do that, the Friends of Midway is a nonprofit.
Friends of Midway is a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization that, as I say, was founded in 2010. My husband, Bob Wooler, and myself were the ones that sort of got the ball rolling. And we had a lot of interesting times getting the word out and engaging people all around Chautauqua County who had wonderful memories of Midway State Park, and a lot of friends and neighbors in that I've been in Maple Springs as a summer resident, then a permanent resident since 1958. So what happened was we just got folks interested and formed a nonprofit organization, so we were able to raise funds that then would be tax deductible for the people who gave the money, and that's what a nonprofit 501c3 is all about. So that's how we've been supporting the park with all the extras since 2010.
So Midway has had a lot of changes in the past several years. I've noticed the merry-go-round, the carousel.
Yes.
What has happened to that carousel? A couple of years ago, I was down there, and the carousel's sitting up in the parking lot, and I'm like, this isn't good. It's like, it's going to get ruined sitting up there. But the reason for that was?
Well, the reason for that was there were a lot of structural issues at the park, as well as infrastructure, water, sewer, electricity. The building called the Roundhouse that the carousel was housed in was the original Roundhouse, and it needed a lot of work. So therefore they felt that the carousel needed to be moved, and they moved it to the parking lot, where it did get some damage, but it was the best they could do at the time. So back in 2012 into 2013, the Friends took on that project of dismantling the carousel, raising the funds to have all the horses restored. The state put in some great capital renovations, keeping the original structure of the Roundhouse, but then putting in roof glass, a lot of replacing the piers, making it structurally sound and actually quite beautiful and attractive. So at a certain point, we were able to move all the horses back in. We raised $34,000. The horses were sponsored at $1,000 each. And a lot of people who had those warm memories of going to the park. I started at the park when I was 3 years old, and certainly had those memories. And people were really invested in making that carousel beautiful again. So now it not only is in the Roundhouse, it has canvas coverings over the winter, so it can stay in place and not have each horse removed, which can cause damage along the way.
The Roundhouse itself is beautiful. I mean,
it is.
I was a little worried when I heard they were going to renovate it, because you look inside and see all the old wood, but with a red roof, and it stands out from both sides of the lake. If you're at Chautauqua, you can see it, and they did a really good job.
It's a great structure, and that really shows the partnership between the state of New York and just a group of wonderful, interested people who have the same history and memories of the park and want their grandchildren and great-grandchildren to continue to enjoy it. The train was also something that we restored. That was our first restoration, and that was in 2012, I believe. And that was a $9,000 project, where it is a wonderful, we call it the Chautauqua Choo-Choo.
We have an older picture of the old train
Oh,
station.
right, there's the old train
Little
station.
maintenance.
Yep.
This was opening day of the state park for several, well, when my kids were younger, I bought season passes. We visited 30 times that summer.
That's great.
It was great because you put a bright shirt on them, you can sit there and just see them anywhere, but I remember watching them pushing the train by hand back into the station. It's went around that loop quite a few times, and I know nowadays we have a caller coming in a while that's going to talk a little about the train, but I hear you're talking about maybe getting some signage.
Yes, we're going to work on getting signage, whether it's reproduction or original. Original is probably very expensive, of railroad signs and memorabilia that will sort of take us back to that time. That train, that same train, has actually been running for 60 years at the park, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it later, but it's the miniature train company MTC G16, and there are others around the country, but we were able to restore it with donations, and it continues to go right around those tracks.
It goes fast.
Yeah.
Watch that, it's like,
what happened after we restored the train, the state was able to build a new, you saw the earlier train station, they were able to build a train station that in fact the train can stay in there in the winter. Different years it was either taken out and put down in the Hippodrome basement, or it was just put out on the tracks and covered up. So this way all the restoration work will remain, you know, sound by having a structure to put it in. Again, the nice partnership between private donations and the state coming together.
Oh, that's great. Some of the other rides we'll discuss real quick are the roller coaster, the little roller coaster.
The Little Dipper.
I've heard that's possibly going to move to a different part of the park, maybe?
I'm not sure. It may, because, you know, down the line they're hoping to get more sort of retro rides or reproduction rides, like a Ferris wheel, and so sort of the placement of what goes where. That Little Dipper has had to have a lot of metal work done over the years, as many of the rides have. That's a Herschel ride, as in most of the rides there are Herschel from Tonawanda, New York, kiddie rides, because the park was designed for the young children as opposed to the teenagers. So that's one of the kiddie rides. I don't know if you've ever been on the Little Dipper, but I call it, you know, the whiplash. To me, it's scarier than a huge roller coaster. But the kids love it, and that has been there.
My son Chris, when he first went to Midway with the school, he would only ride the little whip.
Oh, right.
You know, you got kids with you, they want to ride the big rides. He would not ride nothing. So finally, one time the family's there, and my niece took him on it, on the roller coaster.
Yes.
And after that, he just kept riding. And, you know, it's slow days that they let you just keep riding and riding. Well, the ride operator goes, "You sure you want him to keep riding it? I'm a little worried about his back," because he just kept riding and riding and riding. And I go, "Well, I'll get him off for a while." And he's right back on there. But once he took that ride with my niece, which was younger than him, he was hooked on amusement parks. And like his dad, my biggest memories of Midway are the Blackstone Company picnic.
Okay.
Wow.
You got the little ticket, probably like this, that hung on you. You could just go ride. You know, you might have a few people in line, but back then it seemed like long lines, you know. But you had little coupons for a hot dog and ice cream, and that was just so neat. And they would have, you know, the big setup for food and give away prizes, where my dad ended up winning a case of hot dogs. We gave hot dogs to everybody. I think there was 24 packages in there. But
with all the manufacturing in Jamestown, a lot of the companies had their picnics there. Watson Manufacturing, many.
Marlin Rockwell was the last of the year, right? They kept it open an extra week for them. And seen everything from hot air balloons when they had theirs there. You drive by. But they also used to have Shriners Day. Yep. That was a free day for kids. And it's just like, wow, no tickets, you just get on and go ride. And
well, they have put money into the pavilions, so they're still encouraging companies, schools, family reunions, outings, and I think that's a lot of good revenue for the park.
Oh, yeah.
To have that. In the old days, it was all the companies, but now that we don't have a lot of those manufacturing companies.
High school reunions are terrific, because we all remember Midway back when we went to high school, so it's a big draw to come back there.
My uncle was there the year the swings tipped over.
Oh, yes. In fact, I was rereading, I read about that yesterday, and now I don't remember the year, but Ron Gustafson, who was a real wonderful historian and amusement park buff, wrote this book on the history of Midway Park from 1898 to 1980. 1998, and that was the 100th anniversary. Yeah. And in here he has photographs of when that swing, chairplane I think they called it, went over. This is a great book, the history, and they do have that in the gift shop at Midway Park. But it just tells a lot about when the steamships and the trolleys came, and what a destination with thousands of people on a Saturday or Sunday.
It's amazing when you see these old pictures of how many people went around the lake on the steamboats. Speaking of steamboats, you're set up for another steamboat now, aren't you, at the park?
Yes, I do understand that the Chautauqua Belle will be making its appearance at the park. I'm not sure, once a week or twice a week, and with the loop maybe with Chautauqua Institution. They did it last summer, at the end of the summer, one time, and I guess they worked with the state to allow that to continue. So my understanding is that the Chautauqua Belle will be coming, so people can come on the Belle and have their day at the park, like, enjoying things like the old days,
years ago, yeah.
And then hop back on the Belle and I guess go back to Mayville or maybe Chautauqua Institution.
That's going to be great.
So that is going to be good. Again, a good partnership of, something that's very important to the lake, the Chautauqua Belle, and bringing people to the state park for fun for the family.
I do a lot of, I haven't ran it as often, but the Bemis Point Snow Ferry.
Yes.
I do a lot of talking about Midway. A lot of times you get little kids on there that have been to Midway. They got the band on or the face painted.
Right.
You've been to Midway State Park, and yeah, but it's changed a little, but I mean, I know the little kids' rides are moved around a little, but I can remember riding the little tubs that spin around.
Tubs of fun. Another Herschel ride.
And I will not ride the Tilt-A-Whirl ever again. I was like,
oh, I know.
Day and a half, my head wouldn't quit spinning. I had to call into work, and it was like, oh man, I don't know what it is with that ride that people
Kids
like it.
love it, but
I know that's like my son would get car sick, but he could ride that thing forever. And it's like, but that's been around a long time. Probably, I think, have they decided some of the rides, like maybe a scrambler?
They've been thinking about, I'm not sure, maybe a scrambler, a paratrooper, which was one of the old rides, a Ferris wheel. I don't know that the chairplane swings can be brought back safely.
They were a little nervous about that.
Yeah, people were nervous
about that. But they have
about
gala days, but I think maybe back then, they weren't secured down very good.
Well, maybe that was part of the issue.
Because I know when I first rode them, there was two side by side. I think at the end they only had the one per hook there, but they were fun. I enjoyed them, and as growing up, the little cars on the track were like brand new for us.
Right.
And the Ferris wheel, I've talked on Facebook about it, because one picture I see, it looks like it's over by where the helicopters are.
I think that's where it was originally.
And then,
well, there's a design for a new one, because they really changed the location of the new golf course because of the plans for a new Ferris wheel.
Yeah, because I think the part I remember was where the balloon tosses.
The water balloons?
Yeah, that's where I remember the Ferris wheel as a kid.
Maybe that's where it was.
Because I was looking at a picture, and it's like, I don't remember it there. It was over where the water balloon toss is. But,
they've also cleared the land as you're facing the lake to the left of the Hippodrome, the roller skating rink, and that's been cleared. They took down the old office and the old two houses that the Walshes had owned as part of the park, and that's all been cleared. And there's been some talk of putting a ride down by the water to overlook the water, which would be a nice use of space also.
Because you look at the old, the museum, they have a small museum that I love. I love going in there. And one of the subjects I was going to talk about, I think, is in there now, the 1957 pony tractor. Is that where I seen?
The tractor, yes.
The tractor.
And actually, when we have our caller, he was really responsible for that That's a surprise. But
Okay,
he'll
so
be calling
I'll
it.
wait there.
And yes, and there's also one of the old original Dodgem cars. I know when the Dodgem first came and the structure was built, it was wildly popular, and it still is, although they have more of a Ninja Turtle, not Ninja Turtle, excuse me, Ninja theme, but one of the old cars is in the museum.
Do they have Dora in the museum, or is she
Dora,
in the arcade?
yes, Doraldina is actually her name. Doraldina, the rather scary fortune teller whose hand goes like this and she breathes, and then you get that little card with your fortune and your lucky
Either makes
numbers
your day or ruins it.
Exactly. And also on the Friends of Midway website, and I can talk about that. Periodically, we have what's called Doraldina's Dispatches, and that's the newsletter for the Friends of Midway.
Okay.
Doraldina's Dispatches, and maybe I'll mention that website right now.
Okay, I think we have, in the control room, we have the website for Friends of Midway. Is there any way that you can bring it up for us?
FOMSP.org.
No, the actual website.
That is the website. That's what I'm talking about. But it's actually, you can also put in, that's the website, FOMSP, Friends of Midway State Park. Or you can type in all that. And this is awesome. That is actually the page, wonderful. And there are the bumper cars, the Dodgems, and
this is actually offline.
Oh, okay. That's Red Walsh. That's the dragon that is no longer there because all its parts, it's Italian, and they could no longer get parts. This talks about what we're going to move into soon. It's the golf course. This is all from the website. That's actually the old horse before the horses were redone.
How old are the horses? I mean, are they original?
Actually, they came, it's a 1946 carousel. It's an aluminum carousel. It came to Midway State Park in 1968, and it came from a park near Rochester. But it is a 1946 Herschel carousel. Also at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. is the same carousel.
Really?
Painted differently, but absolutely beautiful.
Is it original? 'Cause
it's not original to the park.
they had another one before that,
Yes,
correct?
they had another one, and for some reason they probably sold it off. And in those days, when you had a wooden carousel, you could sell it off in parts per horse and get a lot of money. So I think that's probably what happened. And then this one came in 1968.
Okay, we got a caller coming in a couple minutes, but before, you helped restore the horses.
Yes.
And how many horses did you say
There are 30 horses on the carousel. They're in rows of 3. They are the horses that go up and down. I must say the carousel moves pretty quickly. There are the seats there, and it does not have the original organ music. It has recorded music.
The Calliope or whatever it
Yeah,
is?
we don't have that. That's not
Do
there.
they play the music? I know there was
Well-
things about people in the
They should.
pavilions that would complain because the music was too loud.
Oh, I've heard the complaints that people can't even hear it. They must have responded to that and had it quieter. I remember, I loved hearing it throughout the park.
I would think like
But the music generally plays, and the train, you can hear the train. Living in Maple Springs, I can hear that
You can hear
train
that
all
train?
day long, and it's a wonderful sound, just like the sound of the
yeah.
Chautauqua Bell going by. We like the sound, so
That's
I'm
good.
whatever.
One more, while we're waiting for our caller, you guys also sponsor the fireworks, don't you?
We have in the past. I think this year our energy is going in 100% to the golf course, which we'll get to. But there was a year or two where they did not have fireworks. They had maybe a little laser show or something, and people really wanted the fireworks back. So the Friends of Midway for quite a few years now have sponsored the fireworks. I think this year, as I say, we're putting our money and effort into the mini golf course, but the contract's there for the fireworks. They will happen this year. The state is going to provide the fireworks this year, which is terrific. People do like that.
I don't know if we have a caller, Jeff, or maybe not yet, but okay. We'll wait on our caller. Peter, we're going to start talking about your project with Midway. Which
my project.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of people working on it, but it was my idea that I came up with a couple of years ago with a grandson of ours from Brooklyn who was in for 4th of July. And we went up to play putt-putt at Midway. He wanted to play, and I said sure. And I knew that the course was in pretty rough condition. But we went up and played, and I mean, honestly, as we got through the end of the course, it was really an embarrassment because 4 or 5 of the holes were unplayable.
Okay,
you had to pay New York State to pay to play the course, but it was embarrassing. And I really came off the course that day and came home, and I was just retiring from my career, and I was looking for things to do, and I told my wife, I said, I've got a project. I think I want to spearhead rebuilding that golf course at Midway. So that's what I've been working on the last year and a half.
Okay, we're going to put that on hold. We have a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Randy. How are you today?
Hey, how are you? I know this guy. What's up, Bill?
Hi, thanks for asking us to call in. Good morning to Peter and Kathleen as well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Bill, you're one of the members, you and your wife, Pat, of the Friends of Midway?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to have been asked by Bob and Kathy and the other board members to help with the Friends. It's a lot of fun. I think we got on board back in 2011, and for the past 4 or 5 years, we've been doing a little bit to help.
Okay, one of the things you did, too, that I know of, you helped restore the Chautauqua Choo-Choo, or got the ball rolling?
That's correct. The main credit needs to go to a guy by the name of Dave Ward, who owns a company by the name of Veridatum there in Mayville, and his right-hand man, Mike Stredman, who's in Hartfield. They basically trained from the park. First they did the 2 train cars, put in new floors, and then they came back and picked up the engine and completely went through the entire locomotive. These little trains were delivered to mostly to amusement parks. They were built by a company called Miniature Train Company. Our train at Midway is number 646, and the records show that it was delivered to the Midway Park on December 6th, 1952. So that train was in dire need of repair. It was smoking, and a lot of the electrical didn't work. There was a hit and miss as to whether it would run each day, and so Mike and Steve took that train and the locomotive especially. They did a total restoration. Probably, I would guess 1,000 to 50 hours work putting it together. They do an original Wisconsin engine, and it had it painted the original traditional black, orange, and yellow colors, and striped and lettered it and put it back on the tracks at Midway, and been strong ever since, Randy.
Fantastic, because we were talking about when my kids were younger, I would be up to the park and you would actually see the crew having to push the train back to the station because it had broke down, and
yeah,
I've seen it going now, and it just seems to be running really fine.
It really is. It's working well, and the Friends have had a great relationship with Midway Park ever since the state bought it. Thanks to the work that that Dalton Burgett and a group of people did when they approached the DEC in Albany and said, "You've got some money to spend. We've got a project you should consider." Since that purchase took place, and then the state a lot of money into the park. As you know, I'm sure Peter and Kathy have told you about the roundhouse that was totally rebuilt for the carousel, and then our part of that project was the restoration of the carousel itself. Horses worked on by Gina Versa down at Hanson Signs in Faulkner, and then Diane Gatto came in and did the final on all the horses, and they subscribed those 30 horses in, I think, less than a month. All the horses have names, and they all have subscribers. That restored carousel was back into that beautiful roundhouse, and it just is one of the shining stars at Midway State Park. Of course, what Peter has told you this morning, I'm sure, is the golf course. Peter, I've got my putter shined up, ready to go here.
Well, we're hoping to have it open in June for you, Bill. I look forward to playing around with you up there.
Can I get a couple of strokes since you're a Maple Springs resident and I'm from DeWittville? I'm a little further away. Can I get a couple of strokes, Peter?
I'll give you 2, and we'll have a steak dinner on it. How's that?
That sounds good. And then, Randy, every year the Friends of Midway comes through and sponsors the fireworks, and you know, we found a little tractor that was part of a 7-tractor ride back in the early days when you didn't need insurance and seatbelts. They put these little kids on an actual gasoline-propelled tractor and let them go out and ride around in a ring. And of course, you couldn't do that today with the liability laws that are out there. But we found one of those, and a guy by the name of Kenny Hammond restored that tractor, and it's on display at the museum gift shop there at Midway, and that's one of the nice little restored rides that the friends helped put together.
I never got to ride it at Midway. I think it was the year I was born, 1957, but I have rode the tractors at another local amusement park, and they were fun. I mean, as a kid, you're actually driving, you know, so you're cool, man. I'm driving a tractor. So, well, thanks for calling in, Bill.
Yeah, I just want to say one last thing, Randy. I know Bob Wooler had to work today, and certainly Peter and Kathy are great representatives of Bob, but I've got to tell you that the leadership and the direction that Bob has provided for us, provided for the whole board and the 100-plus members of Friends, whether it comes to the project or working with the state or working with the park manager, Bob has just done a great job, and he's got a lot of, like Peter, he's got a lot of balls up in the air, and you got to balance them all, and Bob has done a great job doing that.
I have to agree with that. From my trips up to the park, it's really
it's like that nice. Randy Burt running the ferry, the Venus Point ferry. Where would we be without Randy down there on that ferry?
We got to keep the historical things going. I mean, if we don't, I know my first concern about the park when they were selling it was they want to build condominiums or something. They want tax money. They don't care about the park. I got my mouth into trouble in the paper. I told one of the legislators.
We all did. I think everybody wanted, when the property went up for sale, when the Walshes put it up for sale, I think especially the people of residents of Maple Springs like Kathy and Bob, I'm sure they took a gasp, said, "Oh, please, we don't want this to sell to a developer." And we're just fortunate that we have Midway State Park.
Oh, it's beautiful, and I'm hoping, you know, little kids are getting their memories now, because once you get the memories, they stay in your head forever, So, hey, Bill, thanks.
Thanks for growing up in Chautauqua County. That's for sure, and we're very lucky to have it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Pat, for all your help you've done with the park, and I think it's going to be around for another 100 years or more. So, I'm coming back, you know, in my next life, and I'm going to ride the rides again. So,
good for you, Randy. Good to talk to you today, and nice to talk with Peter and Kath.
Have a good day, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
See you at the lake soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Bill Locke. He's living down south. I hear he's coming back next week. So he missed it by a week, but Bill's a great guy. I've known him for quite a few years now. So now, the golf course. Let's get back to the golf course.
Get right into it, huh?
I'm waiting for that golf course because I see a lot of digging and a lot of work there.
I'm going to tell you my first memories of the course back in the early 60s when I was in high school. My favorite place to take a date on a night, first date, second date, or whatever, was up to Midway to play miniature golf. Nice way to start a relationship. You get to know people out there putting pretty well. And a few years ago at one of my reunions, a girl came up to me who I hadn't seen in, I don't know, 10, 15 years. She said, "Peter, do you remember we had 2 dates in high school?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember we went out." And she said, "Do you know, you took me up to Midway to play miniature golf both times," you know. So this was in my history way back when. I loved playing golf, and actually putting is my favorite part of the golf game. Some people love hitting the shots to the green and love driving the ball. I drive the ball all over the place, but fortunately my putting game is held pretty well, so that miniature golf is one of my favorite things to do. So, you know, through the years I've had a real attachment to Midway. My grandparents actually owned the Moose Club. If you go past Midway, going up the hill towards the old Davies. So back in the 50s when I was a little kid, I spent a lot of time up around Midway and used to stop and use all the rides and was involved with Midway from a real young kid. And then as time went on, I mean, we always went up to Midway, played a lot of miniature golf. As I look at this roller skating sign back here, back in 2003, our daughter, Lindsay, our younger daughter, chose to have her rehearsal dinner at the roller skating rink up at Midway. And I went up there to practice roller skating, which I hadn't done in 40 years. And I forgot how to stop. And I had a real bad accident up at the roller skating rink at Midway. So, I mean, I'm bonded to Midway in a lot of ways, the miniature golf. But when I look at that roller skating rink, honestly, it brings back a lot of good memories, but one bad one too. So I'm sort of bonded with Midway in a lot of ways. And then as I got into playing miniature golf with our grandson, 4th of July, as I said, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost now, gave me an idea that if I could do something to make a difference in our community, something that I've been really aligned with my whole life, it would be rebuilding that course at Midway. And it's really been something I'm all in on. Going to live around Jamestown the rest of our lives, so that's something that we're going to do. And I've had a lot of help with a lot of my friends supporting this, but it's something that I'll enjoy the rest of my life, and hopefully it'll enhance the quality of living a little bit in our area.
Now the golf course, from what I'm seeing, at each tee off you'll have a historic photo.
Well, on each tee box, I mean, there's going to be a score pad like on...
Tee stand, I think.
What do you call it?
A tee stand.
Okay. There'll be a tee stand there, and those have been sponsored by a lot of our friends of Midway. I'll tell you, I wrote a letter to a bunch of people in November, and it's incredible the response that I've had from relationships of mine that I asked to step up and help sponsor this endeavor at Midway. And it's just incredible how many of these people stepped up and said, hey, this is something we want to see done, we want to be part of it. And we've raised close to $250,000 from the public to support this, which ultimately is owned by New York State. But the gifts go through the Friends of Midway, going to rebuild this in a beautiful way. Just real quickly, there's going to be a fountain here. So as you drive by Route 430, even if you don't go into Midway to play miniature golf next summer, this summer now, there's going to be a fountain there. It's going to be lit up at night. It's going to draw attention to all of Midway. It's going to be almost like driving past Disney World down in Orlando.
Awesome.
It's going to have a beautiful feel. We've got Brian Arbrecht doing a rain shelter halfway through the course. I've got Jason Seebeck building a replica of the bell tower over in Chautauqua that's going to hover over one of the holes. We're going to have a mural of Lucy Desi done by Gary Peters, who does all the artwork in Jamestown. It's going to be on the wall of the ticket booth. So Lucy Desi are going to welcome people, and the Lucy Desi Museum has sponsored the first hole. So when you get there, Lucy and Desi are going to welcome you to this golf course, and it's going to be called Putt Around Chautauqua at Midway State Park. But I'm hoping the tagline is going to be Putt Around. And if you capitalize the P, the A, and the R, par. That's going to be where we hopefully spend a lot of evenings this summer.
In doing the tea stands, yes, we have a historic theme. Each tea stand, which has been sponsored by some of our wonderful friends and neighbors and business people, will have replicate a historic postcard. So you'll have muskie fishing, you'll have the bell, you'll have the Athenaeum, not the Athenaeum, rather the amphitheater, a lot of different things around Chautauqua, so the historic theme will continue. So at each one you have that, as well as each hole has been sponsored, and those people are going to be honored in a different way, which is absolutely awesome. But the Putt Around Chautauqua, we're really trying to incorporate and promote Chautauqua County. And I think by having it very visible with the fountain, we'll bring a lot of people in, and maybe some of the kids who are a little bit older, who are too old for the kiddie rides, maybe they can bring their dates in the evening.
Not a bad place to start.
Exactly. We will be open in the evenings. I'm not sure until what hour, and we're also working with the state, which is pretty exciting, to recycle some of the revenue from mini golf, particularly the evenings, to the Friends of Midway to work on getting more of the retro and historic rides. So yes, we're spending maybe a total of, the entire project is probably a $400,000 project, which will benefit the state, but graciously they're working with us so we can continue our mission to keep Midway State Park a historic venue. And get back some of the other things that we feel are important.
What I'm seeing from the road is this golf course looks huge. Is it?
It's 18
bigger,
holes.
Is it bigger than the old golf course?
It's about 50% bigger.
Wow.
And it's surprising that we were going to lay out the new course exactly where the old one was, but we had to stay within the confines of the railroad going around because we couldn't go past that. But then all of a sudden they want to provide for a space for possibly that Ferris wheel. So they moved it down closer to the road, which is fine with us. It just moved it down a little bit.
Ferris wheel, yeah. But well, when I first heard of the golf course and I heard Bemis Point Snow Ferry, it's like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Being a ferry nut.
But they called me this week now with the weather forecast, supposed to be 60 degrees a couple of days next week. And the Lakeshore Paving, who's doing the cement work in there, really are hoping that they can start laying cement down again next week. Not this week, but the week following. That's the plan right now.
11 holes have been poured.
And we're hoping, you know, that we get good spring weather. It's been a warm winter already, so if we get a good April and May, I think our chances of being open in June this year are pretty darn good.
Nice. So when does Midway open? Do they open early May, late May, or?
Memorial Day weekend is the first weekend for the public.
Okay.
And I believe then they're open weekends until we get into maybe 4th of July time. But they do have a lot of school picnics. I don't know that, I don't think we'll be up and running Memorial Day, we had hoped, but we also have all the landscaping to do. We're now meeting with landscapers, and the state has a very nice landscape plan with native plants and trees, and so there's a lot of aspects to this, not just pouring the concrete.
Yeah, that's right.
But the park does open Memorial Day weekend, and there are a lot of school groups. And I know that they get booked up early on the pavilions, so people need to make their plans early. But if we can work with packages for kids if they're having birthday parties, maybe to combine the go-karts, the arcade, and the miniature golf into a packet, I think the Friends of Midway is going to work real hard on the marketing of the golf course and really push it far and wide to let people know that it's a great venue. And they should come, because the park generally closes at 7 p.m., but the golf course will remain open later.
70% of miniature golf is played at dinner time or afterwards.
Really?
So we really need to be open in the evenings to, you know,
Catch everybody.
take care of the demand.
We're getting down to like 9 minutes. One thing I want to know is if people are interested in joining the Friends of Midway.
Sure.
I'll let you talk about, we have a brochure here, and I think I've seen this online. So how would you become a friend of Midway? And
Well,
Do
probably
you have your checkbook with you?
that's a good place to
oh
start.
yeah, money.
Well, what you do, the easiest way probably, particularly at this time of the year, is go to the website, www.friendsofmidwaystatepark.org, or simply FOMSP.org, and on it you can see you can pay by PayPal, so you don't even have to mail in a check. There are different membership levels. Basically, an individual or family is $25, and it goes up from there. You can you know, sponsor different things for higher amounts. And of course, we're still accepting any donations towards the golf course. Also on the website, it talks about the mailing address, which is Post Office Box E, Maple Springs, New York, 14756, or calling 716-237-0122. That's Bob Wooler, the founder and president of Midway State Park. And if he doesn't pick up, he will get back to you. Or friendsofmidway@yahoo.com is the email address. All that is on the website. And the website is really cool. It also has audio, the sounds of Midway, so you can click in and you can hear the voice recording of the man's voice for the Dodgems, for the bumper car.
Who that is.
From the old days, it's been the same recording. It's awesome. One day it wasn't working, so the woman had to like read it, and it was a whole different experience.
Sure.
It also has the sounds of, you know, the arcade in it. So it's a really fun website, and I'm sure it'll be updated as we get the golf course in there. I think there is information about sponsorships or donations for the golf course. It all can be done through PayPal, or you can send a check to Post Office Box E, Maple Springs. So that's sort of the deal. And your $25 contribution or more, you can go to the ticket office at Midway, and if you're a friend, you get a bit of a discount on your ride pass. We try to have some special events during the day.
Do you have like a clean the park or?
There is. The state does a I Love My Park Day, which I believe is the first Saturday in May, which is May 2nd. I understand that. Midway State Park is not participating in I Love My Park Day. I'm not sure about that decision. But most likely that'll be a little early for us to pull people in to help with maybe details of the landscaping. But we probably will have a call out, maybe something in the paper, something on the website, for volunteers to come in and help us with a few little chores before we actually open. But the park, that park is not doing I Love My Park Day.
Okay.
It's also, I believe, well, no, I don't think I totally have this down, about the anniversary of, yes, I think I have it down, 2016, 1946. I think it's the 70th anniversary of this Herschel carousel ride. So I'm not sure if Friends of Midway will do some celebration with that. I would guess we would, at which point Friends of Midway would get a discount or a ride on the carousel. Also, we do special things for the people who sponsored the horses, the 30 horses of the carousel. So it's really exciting. This project, I mean, to think we've done the train, the carousel, and now the mini golf course is pretty amazing, all since 2010. That's 6 years. I know we all in the state have talked about at some point redoing the hippodrome, the roller rink.
New dock.
New dock. The big deal with the hippodrome is that the pilings are weak, so there's a lot of infrastructure. It's a very, very big project, and it has to be handicapped accessible. So right now, if you wanted your bachelorette party or your wedding or something, you cannot have it up there because of accessibility. And I know the park hopes someday to redo that. That is in the plan. And I think that pushes the Friends of Midway way over the top. But we, of course, would be supportive and do all we can for whatever needs to be done next.
I can remember the roller rink as a kid. I didn't know how to roller skate, but you could actually go up steps on the outside and watch people. And
And
that was as close as I got until my older, probably like 10 or so.
And to say nothing of Jim Roselli's dance parties there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh.
2 nights a week.
It was like bumper to bumper people. It was the best place to meet all the guys. Those were some fun
Great
years.
memories.
And we would love to have that restored and up and running. But that's down the line. But people should really come out and play mini golf, and particularly bring those dates and families and birthday parties in the evenings. That would be super.
The Friends of Midway, I went to a couple of years ago. They have a little get-together at one of the pavilions, and they talk about it. How often do you do that? Once a year in the fall or late summer?
Well, we usually have an annual meeting in the fall to talk about where we're at financially and programmatically, where we want to go in the future, and certainly get people on board to get excited about what's happening next. I know a few years ago we had a reunion. This was great, of all the couples who met at the roller skating rink, and we pulled in as many as we could, people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s who met and then married. And we had a potluck dinner supper for them at the park, and we got a special tour. We were allowed to go upstairs and look.
So did you and Bob meet there? Did you and Bob
meet there? No, we did. Peter, that's a whole nother story. But we do love mini golf.
Okay, great.
But no, back in those days, I certainly met a lot of people up in that roller skating rink. But no, that's probably
the dances, too.
Another story. The dances, absolutely. But we try to be creative in how to pull people in. It might be time to try that get together again. Those folks some may not be with us, but it was absolutely wonderful to have people talk about their meeting there. We did do audio recordings.
Oh, really?
Which was really fun.
I got to go there several years ago. I think I did the photos, and a reporter, she used to do a Saturday thing for the Post-Journal, wrote the article.
Oh, okay.
With the context. One of the things was next to the gift shop, there was the little room where the train went around.
Oh yeah, they call that it's the room. I'm trying to Whistle Stop Cafe, and that's what they call it now. And the train goes around. It's still there. A little.
Now they had a thing on the wall. I think it was people that had met at Midway.
Yes, there is a wall
of, but I can't think what it's called.
The romance wall. I have no idea of all the people photographs.
Memory lane.
Memory lane. And the train does go around up there. That had been, they served fish fries and beer back in the old days. It was a regular full-service restaurant. But now you can go in there and eat your ice cream there or your snack from the snack bar. The gift shop is great. What they've done with the museum, you can always have a call out if other people have memorabilia from the old days. They would love to have it in there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we got 30 seconds left. I want to thank you for coming to the show today.
Our privilege. Thank you.
I am hoping people are golfing this summer. I'm going to give that a try.
I hope so.
And checking out, I don't know about the rides. Maybe the merry-go-round for me.
Maybe the merry, but you got to hang on. That's a fast carousel.
I don't know about the coaster, yeah. So thank you for coming today, and I appreciate it. And if you get a chance this summer, stop down to Midway Park and just bring back some memories. I'm Randy Burt, and I want to thank Doc Hamels for letting me do the show today. Jeff Zook, Chris in the control room, Justin, Burt on camera, and just a whole good gang. So you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise.